This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Damn music. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM, Channel 80. The number to call up, as always, is 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. In case you didn't know, I am having a very bad day. I am not happy. As a matter of fact, I'm quite ticked off. If all of you NFL lovers out there, I'll get to the Ravens and Lamar Jackson and his fan club and RG3 and how it doesn't even make any sense for him to be in Baltimore. I'm even interested in having a debate about y'all definition of what the hell a Hall of Fame quarterback is supposed to be, because you got people talking about Eli Manning in that category, and I don't understand why. So I really want to hear what your definition is of what a Hall of Fame quarterback is supposed to be, but that is not why I am upset. That is not why I am having a very, very bad day. I am not having a good day because I watched my Yankees last night. I watched them get spotted 4 runs and then proceed to get shellacked in such alarming fashion that I sit here before you on this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, on this afternoon, August 3rd, 2018, on Friday night, which might as well be the Friday the 13th. And I'm here to tell you right now, Yankees ain't winning the American League East. It's 2 months to go in the season, and I'm already telling you, Yankees ain't winning the American League East. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. I'm just going to put it out there right now. I'm just going to say what needs to be said. I'm just going to get it off my chest. Look. See, the Yankees ain't the Dodgers. They don't have it that easy. We all know the Dodgers going to the postseason again for a 6th consecutive year. The question about the Dodgers is whether or not they're going to win the World Series, since you haven't won a damn World Series since 1988. That's the question about the Dodgers. The road to prosperity, however, is pretty much rose-petaled compared to what the Yankees have to deal with in L.A. Dodgers don't have the Red Sox in their division. Dodgers don't have the reigning defending World Series champions who beat them in 7 games within the same conference. They don't have that. They might have teams like Seattle and Oakland lurking to some degree, but they don't have the Red Sox and the Astros in the same damn league, in the same damn conference. That's the Yankees. And if you are going to legitimately compete for a World Series crown, it would help that you send the right message and not get beat up the way they got beat up last night. It's just bad. 15-7. Yes, CeCe Sabathia got pulled even though he was up 4-2 because he walked 4 batters. I get that. But this kid, Jonathan Holder, I mean, my God. It's one of them situations, ladies and gentlemen, where you kind of wondering, you see a guy perform like that, you kind of wondering why the hell they in the league. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, you correct me if I'm wrong, Nuno. Could you tell the difference between Jonathan Holder and Jose Reyes from the other night? You know, the shortstop that went on the hill and pitched for the Mets when they were down by 20 runs? Jonathan Holder gave them 7 runs, didn't even get out. I mean, this is some prolifically bad stuff. And I'm looking at the Yankees right now, and ladies and gentlemen, everybody keeps talking to me about this bullpen. What bullpen? All right, Aroldis Chapman. All right, Dylan Betances. I get it. But am I really supposed to believe in them? I'm not so. I'm not that excited. I'm not that enthused. Sanchez is on the DL. I get it. Aaron Judge is on the DL. I get it. Stephen A., there's no reason to panic. Damn that! You're getting smacked around by the Boston Red Sox. That's a reason to panic. Now, maybe they'll change my mind because after they lost 11-1 to the Red Sox at Yankee Stadium a month ago, they came back the next day and beat them 11-1. Maybe something like that could happen. But I'm not so. There's a 6.5 game lead that the Boston Red Sox are enjoying right now. And from a balanced perspective, from Betts to Kinsler to Martinez, they look just well-oiled. Well-oiled. That's what they look like. You look at their rotation, it's nothing to sneeze at. I can't look at the Boston Red Sox and summarily dismiss what I'm seeing from them. You got Sale, who's on a DL right now, but you know he's coming back en route to winning the Cy Young. You got Porcello. You got Price. You got Kimbrel, who's got 4 more saves than Aroldis Chapman. Look, damn it. The Boston Red Sox looks formidable. It's not a joke. And the Yankees are too up and down. I got a problem with the Yankees rotation. See, I think you could get to Severino, even though at times he looks like a stud. Am I supposed to really, really believe in Tanaka? Really? Am I supposed to believe in him? I understand who he is. He's 9-2. I get it. I understand it. ERA at 3.84. I get it. But Sonny Gray is being removed from the rotation. Lance Lynn is suddenly perceived as being the second coming of Ron Guidry just because he's going to replace Sonny Gray. What am I supposed to believe here? How am I supposed to feel? I'm very, very nervous about the Yankees. And then I think about them damn Houston Astros, the reigning, defending World Series champions. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't even have to get to Altuve and Springer and those guys. Let me remind y'all of this rotation. Verlander, McCullers, Keuchel, and then we didn't even get into Jarrett Cole or Charlie Morton. I mean, you talk about 5 pitchers. You only need 2 to 3 in the postseason. They got 5. They got 5. I am very, very, very nervous. Now, Yankees will be a wild card, have a 1-game playoff. I get it. I understand. But I'm telling you right now, I'm very nervous. Boston's number 1 in batting. Number 1. Astros, number 1 in ERA. Yankees are top 5. I give them that, but Boston's at number 3. Astros at number 1. Batting average. Yankee ain't even top 5. You know why? Because Stanton and Judge usually strike out a lot. That's why. And Sanchez. Assuming they're all healthy. And Boston and Houston's in the top 5 in batting average. I'm not happy. And I just want to make sure that I express that sentiment. Yankees got to give me something, man. I don't care about Sanchez and Judge being hurt. I understand that's your problem offensively. My problem is the ability of teams to score runs on them. Boston's up there stealing bases. Are the Yankees? Can they play small ball? Can they manufacture runs when the home run ball ain't there for them? Can they do that? Will they do that? Hicks and Gregorius and these boys hitting homers, that's nice. But I am worried. And this kid, Steve Pearce, a former Yankee, by the way, 3 home runs against him. 3 home runs. 8-run fourth inning. These are not things that make me happy. So I'm going to repeat myself. I'm going to engage in redundancy. I'm going to say what the hell needs to be said. All these moves that Brian Cashman made, it probably ain't going to even win you the division. I should have known something was fishy when Boston barely made a move. I should have known. Now these damn Red Sox got me nervous. Yankees ain't winning the American League East. I can't see it happening. And my dream of a Dodgers-Yankees World Series is just going kaput. because I don't see the Yankees getting past both the Red Sox and the Astros. And I'm quite disgusted about it, if I should say so myself. 888-SAY-ESPN. That is the number to call up. This 888-729-3776. Something else I want to get into. Something else I needed to get into because it's important. You know, Eli Manning. It's necessary to bring this up. I'm tired of holding off on it. And by the way, it's been time for Straight Talk Wireless, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. It's time to get into this Eli Manning thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I just can't take it anymore. I've tried to be nice. You know, Eli Manning is a Hall of Fame individual. He is class personified as far as I'm concerned. He is reliable. He is professional. He's somebody that hadn't missed a start in damn near 13 years until the idiot Ben McAdoo decided to bench him for a week. Okay? Knowing it got him fired. Is glad that he's reflected upon that and realized the error of his ways now that he's unemployed. You should have realized that beforehand. Neither here nor there. Here's the reality. I respect the hell out of Eli Manning. And I want the world to know that I do. I appreciate the 2 Super Bowl titles that he brought to New York City. I really, really do. I'm not trying to poo-poo that. Eli Manning deserves credit for that. No question about it. But ladies and gentlemen, I need y'all help here. I need somebody to tell me what a Hall of Fame quarterback is supposed to be. I need someone to help me out with that. See, we got Phillip Rivers in L.A. We got Eli Manning in New York. And we're talking about guys like this, like they deserve to be mentioned in the same breath or share the same house as the Peyton Mannings, the Drew Brees, the Tom Bradys, the Aaron Rodgers, individuals who will most certainly be first ballot Hall of Famers. We're talking about these guys like they're supposed to be those guys. And I don't see that. And I got something else to say too that's very, very important. And I don't know how fair this is or unfair. You know, all of these votes and all of these chances at the apple that you get to be a Hall of Famer, I don't think that should be applicable to quarterbacks. The position is too important. Yes, it's extensive. And I know my producer Nuno might disagree with me. I don't give a damn. And Jonathan and Kat, no, I don't care. Let me tell y'all something right now. I think different rules are for different strokes for different folks. I think whereas you might sit up there and debate, Randy Moss is a first ballot Hall of Famer. T.O. is a third ballot Hall of Famer. Hell no, he should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. But you can understand why it takes some time for guys to get in. Chris Carter took like 6 or 7 times. All he did was catch touchdowns. But he ended up being in the Hall of Fame. I get all of that. Let me say this because it is very important that I say this. I don't think that should be applicable to quarterbacks. If there is a doubt, you don't get in. Period. There should be no question. The quarterback position means too much. More importantly, you don't get to hide as a quarterback. As a quarterback, there is too much evidence available for you at a moment's notice, Nuno, for us to be guessing as to whether or not you should be a Hall of Famer. You either are or you're not. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you something right now. Eli Manning is no Hall of Famer. I know that's not popular in the city of New York. I know that's not a popular thing to say. I got to turn in my New York card to some people's eyes. Eli Manning is not a Hall of Famer. Eli Manning, on average, is completing less than 60% of his passes in his career. Eli Manning has never had a 5,000-yard season. Even though one year he did pass for 4,933 in 2011. Eli Manning, the 2 Super Bowl titles he won, did y'all know he never threw for 300 yards in either game? Meanwhile, here's the biggest reason I feel this way pertaining to Eli Manning. Not being a Hall of Famer. The New York Giants have missed the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years. And 7 of the last 9. Why don't you shake your head to that, Nuno? They've missed the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years and 7 of the last 9. Now, I understand questionable offensive line, sometimes a pathetic offensive line. clearly a lack of a running game. I get all of that. But damn it, I repeat, 5 times in the last 6 years and 7 times in the last 9 years, the postseason has taken place and Eli Manning has been home watching it like the rest of us. That's not Hall of Fame, y'all. That is not Hall of Fame. And I don't care what anybody says. It's just the truth, and it's something that needs to be said. And the same, by the way, applies to Phillip Rivers. I mean, when is this going to stop? When is enough going to be enough about Phillip Rivers? I know he can ball. I understand that. He's no scrub. But let's not act like he's the second coming of Dan Marino either. Phillip Rivers has made the playoffs once in the last 8 years. One time in the last 8 years. Are y'all kidding me? Y'all really want to make this about, and here's the way I want you to look at it. Are we really being fair to the guys who really are Hall of Famers? When are we going to do that? Are we really, really being fair to the guys that really are Hall of Famers? Are we being fair to a Dan Marino? And by the way, I'm one of the biggest Dan Marino fans you'll find. But you know why? Because that brother was a stud. And he did what he did in spite of Don Shula. Now, granted, tail end of his career, his numbers dipped, and he's only completed 59.4% of his passes. Playoff passing, you consider some of the things that he's done? Come on now. But do you remember how awful those defenses were? Do you remember the fact that Don Shula never got him a defense or a running game? Do you forget that? Only time Dan Marino had a running game was when he had Chuck Muncie. It was him, Mark Clayton, and Mark Super Duper. That's what it was. He had nothing else. Not a running game and no defense. And nobody would ever question the greatness of the great Dan Marino. Eli Manning, I got news for you, ladies and gentlemen. When the Giants won the Super Bowl, is there anything about a 17-14 score that knocks your socks off, like in 2007? That was Michael Strahan and Justin Tuck and those boys. That's what that was. Putting a hat on Tom Brady, getting to him. Had him tap dancing in a pocket like the late, great Gregory Hines. God rest his soul. You'd have thought it was an episode of Taps. What are you talking about? 2011, pretty much the same with O.C. Umenyiora and the crew and JPP and those boys. Giants won that game 21-17. I never saw Eli Manning looking like Tom Brady did in a loss last year to the Philadelphia Eagles, where he passed for 505 yards and 3 touchdowns without an interception. 3 different receivers. And Amendola and Hogan and Gronkowski all catching for more than 100 yards. Tom Brady didn't lose that damn Super Bowl. New England's defense lost that damn Super Bowl. So somebody needs to help me. I really, really need help. Eli Manning, 5 of the last 6 years, 7 of the last 9 years, no playoff appearances. Phillip Rivers, 1 playoff appearance in the last 8 years. And they Hall of Famers? Can somebody please explain to me what a Hall of Famer is? I might have a chance. I mean, hell with it. If that's what our definition of a Hall of Famer is. And I mean no disrespect. No disrespect whatsoever. I'm not trying to disrespect Eli or Phillip Rivers. They can both play. And I know that football is not a one-dimensional entity. You need help. But damn. You saw how awful Green Bay was without Aaron Rodgers. That same Green Bay team with Aaron Rodgers was in the NFC Championship game the year before. That's a Hall of Famer. His value to that team is exponential. When he's not in the equation, they plummet like a bag of cheap bricks. That's what happens when the Green Bay Packers don't have Aaron Rodgers. We don't know what the hell the Giants are without Eli Manning because we've seen enough of what they are like with him. I'm just saying. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. That was Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Coming up, we'll continue discussing this, getting into a little Major League Baseball, a little bit more. Urban Meyer, that situation has not faded. That's something to talk about. Terrell Owens and the Hall of Fame. I'm going to tell you why. Why? Once again, he doesn't look so great making this decision that he's made to not be in Canton, Ohio this weekend. Before I do any of that, I'll make sure to talk to my man, Sal Palantonio, our NFL guru, covering the NFL. He's at all those games every weekend. He's live up next with Stephen A. Back at you with my man, Sal Palantonio, plus your phone calls and more in a minute. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Craving even more of Stephen A?
Him of all people.
For around-the-clock access to the man?
I'm Stephen A.
You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Stephen A. Smith and on Facebook at Stephen A.
I'm a squeaky toy, and I've got one job, getting chomped on by this little ankle sniffer. So pardon me for feeling inept compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like while I'm getting slobbered on, Geico is creating cool technology like their mobile app, which lets people pay their bills or file a claim. Plus, Geico is the fastest growing auto insurer for the last 10 years. Is it too much for me to ask for one more feature? Fast and friendly claim service like Geico, maybe? Oh, great. I'm getting buried again.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
29 minutes past hour number one, back here in the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Coming at you as I love to do every weekday. ESPN Radio, Stephen A. Smith Show is presented by the Progressive Insurance. Cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more at Progressive.com. That's where you'll find it. My next guest will be on in a minute. He's on right now. Has a new book out now on the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl season entitled Philly Special. One of the great NFL reporters in history, my buddy, somebody I go back a very, very, very long ways to, more than 25 years. The one and only Sal Palantonio is right here with yours truly. My man, what's going on?
Oh, Stephen A., remember when I was on your show in Minneapolis and I said the Birds are going to win the game? Little did I know that I'd be able to write a book about this team.
And I want you to tell me about, and just for those who know, listen, it's not just about you covering this team and covering the NFL as exceptionally as you do. You and I go back over 25 years ago when we were both working for the Philadelphia Inquirer. When I arrived there in 1993, you were one of the first people to greet me. You were covering the Philadelphia Eagles then. After covering City Hall, look at how far you've come, my man. What was it like for you to finally see them win the Super Bowl and ultimately decide to write this book about them?
Well, I wrote the book for my family and my friends and Eagles fans that have supported my career over the years. That was the bottom line for me. I wanted to have a document that would, in the end, tell the story of this team and that people can have for a very long period of time. I wrote Frank Rizzo's biography in 1993 when I first met you, and I wanted that book to, be the definitive story of city politics in urban America. And I want this book to be the definitive inside story of how this team won its first championship. But I really wrote it for people who have sacrificed along the way for me to have my career. I my family and my friends who have supported me. I want that. I didn't write it for myself. I wrote it for them. And I tell you, I'm at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. If you could see it right now, there is a line of people, 10, 20, 30 people in line right now waiting to buy this book. It's insane. Eagles fans, I've been just waiting such a long, long time for something like this, and I wanted to make sure I got the absolute inside record of what happened.
Well, I appreciate that. The one and only Sal Palantonio right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. He's got a new book out now. It's called Philly Special. That's what the title of the book is. The great Sal Palantonio for ESPN. Live with us from Canton, Ohio, site of the Hall of Fame festivities throughout this weekend. Sal, I'd be remiss in neglecting to bring up Terrell Owens. Because obviously you covered this team again, and you were there when he was in Philadelphia, like I was in the 2004 season when he played 14 games and they went to the Super Bowl. 2005 when he played 7 games before he was released and let go by Andy Reid and Jeffrey Lurie and those boys. You know of his decision to not show up for the Hall of Fame. What was your reaction when you first heard about it? What are your feelings about it, considering your Philly roots?
Well, my feelings are, I think he's missing out. I just came from the Ray Nitschke luncheon with all the Hall of Famers and the State of the Hall message by David Baker. And if you could get into a room, if you were a pro football player, with Jim Brown and Joe Montana and Joe Namath and Mike Singletary and share your life with their life, your experience with their experience. The Hall of Fame is not about a bunch of statues. It's not about a bunch of bronze busts. It's about a million stories of courage and commitment. There's 182 living Hall of Famers, and a lot of them came from nowhere. A lot of them came from never. And now they're part of a team that's eternal. And I wish that he could share in that, because I think he would get a lot from it. I'm not a Hall of Famer, and I get a lot from it. The shared stories of excellence and sacrifice and commitment and integrity and honor and teamwork, I think, is invaluable. And I think that's why USA Today voted the Pro Football Hall of Fame as the #1 sports experience in America, because when you come here, you can really feel it.
Well,
let me really feel it.
But Sal Palantonio, let me play devil's advocate for just a second. And I don't disagree with anything that you're saying, but I think it's important to give this perspective for fans out there who might feel a touch otherwise when it comes to Terrell Owens' argument about how he should have been a first ballot Hall of Fame.
No. He has the right to do what he wants.
I know that.
I understand it. No one's denying that, and it is not something that I can affirm or deny. It is his right to do that. Mm-hmm. But when you reach a certain level in life, Stephen A., with those rights comes obligations and duties.
I agree. But let's say if you were going into the Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame. I'd show up. And I get
I would want to sit next to Jim Nance. You would want to sit next to Chris Berman. You would want to sit next to all the greats, and you would want to share in that experience, even if the people who make the decision to put you in stump you for 1, 2, or 3 years because they didn't like you.
Well, let me say this. But hold on. Sal, hold on. Sal, my brother, it's the Stephen A. Smith Show. I'm trying to ask you a question, my man, because these are important. I got to get these questions out, man. I'm talking to Sal Palantonio. I got to get these questions out. Here's my thing. The people who vote on him. Now, you said they kept him out because they didn't like him or whatever.
No, I'm one of the, you're talking to one of the voters.
That's right. One of the voters. You got writers from media members from every NFL city. You got 16 at-large selectors, plus 1 representative from the Pro Football Writers Writers of America, and 2 members of the Hall of Fame. These are the people who get to vote. And what I'm saying is most of them are not players, so it doesn't make sense to me that T.O. is snubbing the whole ceremony, all the pomp and circumstance for individuals that didn't play because his contemporaries are waiting there to celebrate his greatness. That's where that's how I feel.
There's no question about it. I would like to see him here. I understand his point of view. I understand that he wants to do it separately, but it's not a distraction here. It's not something that anybody is talking about. You should see the growth here. You see the number of people here. People come from all over the world, all over the country to feel, touch, see players who have inspired them, brought joy to their lives. And listen, you and I covered T.O. When T.O. showed up in Lehigh, there were 40,000 people in the stands going, T.O.,
yep.
T.O., 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 singing his name.
Yep. T.O., 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 T.O. Yes, that was them.
That was it. And you know what? This place is crawling with tens of thousands of Eagles fans, and he would be welcomed here by the fans. He would be welcomed here by the 182 living members of the Hall of Fame. He would be welcomed here by everybody in the Hall of Fame and the NFL community to put on that gold jacket. He would be welcomed here and celebrated here just like everybody else. He belongs here. I voted to put him in here, and he belongs here, and I wish he was here.
Let me bring up, you're at the Hall of Fame, so let me bring that up, but let me also remind you, this ain't a Hall of Fame question because we ain't talking about Hall of Famers here. Joe Flacco didn't play last night. But the flip side to it is that RG3 and Lamar Jackson is. I sort of departed from watching the game, Sal, feeling sorry for RG3 because it's clear who everyone wants to have that job in the event that Joe Flacco eventually moves on. And his name is Lamar Jackson. Your quick thoughts.
Okay, Lamar Jackson is pyrotechnic with the ball in his hands when he's running the football. But what I saw yesterday is a guy who's learning how to play the quarterback position from the pocket in the NFL, and that's going to take time. He did it in just one half of preseason football, and he operated the offense, he called the plays, he executed the plays, guys in the huddle, he got guys lined up correctly. That's step one. That's a baby step, and he stepped in the right direction. I've been told by the coaches and the players, Ravens organization, he is working extremely hard. They like him. He is coachable. He is a tough-minded young man. I spoke to him on the field yesterday. I was very impressed with his demeanor, his outlook, his truthfulness about his performance. I think he's going to be a quarterback in the NFL. Will he be a star? Who knows? As for RG3, the man hasn't been on the field in a year. He had command. He had poise, he had accuracy, had a smile on his face. I like what I saw from RG3. But from Joe Flacco, what I've seen in training camp is a guy who's rejuvenated, whether he's being pushed a little bit or not. First time in 3 years,
see.
Healthy in training camp.
We'll see.
He's good.
We'll see. It's the preseason, Sal. We'll see.
It is.
I got to get on out of it.
But I got to take care of my guys from Audubon.
You go ahead and you do that.
Guys.
All right, my man. I got to run, Sal. I love you, buddy. Congratulations on the new book and enjoy the Hall of Fame festivities this weekend. You take care of yourself, all right, buddy?
You're the best.
Take care. The one and only Sal Palantonio, my colleague here at ESPN, my buddy for the last 25 years, out with a new book now on the Eagles Super Bowl season entitled Philly Special. By the way, that segment, along with the show, is being brought to you by Barbasol. Barbasol is finally making razors. That's a no-brainer. Check out the Barbasol Ultra 6 Plus with 6 ultra-thin blades. Save on the Ultra 6 Plus at Barbasol.com. Stick around. Don't touch that dial. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! To the phones we go. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Let's get to it. Let's go to Mike. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hey, what's going on, Stephen A?
I'm good.
I want to talk to you about the whole Eli Manning Hall of Fame discussion.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't be mad if Eli got in on like the 5th try, but there's no way he's the first ballot Hall of Fame.
Well, let me ask you this question. How do you feel about a Hall of Fame quarterback that it took 5 or 6 or 7 tries for him to get in?
I don't like it, but I mean, you have to look at Dan Marino and how his teams weren't good, but he was good. He transcended the game, though, which is the difference.
No. What I'm trying to say to you is that Dan Marino was a transcendent NFL quarterback figure. In his prime, he was Dan the man. There is no question. Just like Peyton Manning was that dude. Just like Aaron Rodgers is that dude. So on and so forth. When has that ever been Eli Manning? Ever.
Never.
That's why it's Hall of Fame. Listen, for example, you want me to give you an example? Look at this. Are you ready for this? I'm going to say this to you. I'm going to say this to my producer, especially Nuno. Carmelo Anthony is a career 24.7 point per game scorer. Sir, you do understand Carmelo Anthony is eventually going into the Basketball Hall of Fame. You do know that, right?
Which is unfortunate.
Wait a minute. He's going into the Basketball Hall of Fame because the Basketball Hall of Fame, the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, takes into account everything. It takes into account collegiate action. It takes into account Olympic action. And he's a 3-time gold medalist. But as an NBA player, regardless of that 24.7 point per game average, Carmelo Anthony has never played in an NBA Finals. He would not go to the Hall of Fame in basketball if it were not for his collegiate and Olympic accomplishments. So what I'm saying to you is that when you look at Eli, unfortunately, when it comes to football players, no, the Football Hall of Fame is about what you did in your NFL career. It ain't about what you did collegiately. It ain't about what you did in Pop Warner. It's National Football League. And Eli doesn't have something other than his professional football career to supplement his status on. He doesn't have that.
Okay, now let me ask you this, though. Does the fact that he was like a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee like year in and year out, does that have anything to do with anything?
If it did, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because Eli Manning is a Hall of Fame individual, without question. He is a Hall of Fame person and professional. Not missing starts, always showing up to practice on time, being a professional, the leader of the team, handling himself with class and poise with the media, all of those things. Eli Manning is a Hall of Fame, a first ballot Hall of Fame professional, not a quarterback.
Now, do you think Philip Rivers is a Hall of Fame quarterback?
No. I don't give a damn about Philip Rivers' numbers. You ain't been in the playoffs 7 times in the last 8 years.
Do you think Eli would have won more championships if he had the talent?
Maybe. I don't know that. Maybe. But the bottom line is he's been out of the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years and 7 of the last 9. So I can't give it to Eli. I just can't. That's just how I feel about it. I wish I could feel differently, Mike. I just don't.
Right. One last question for you, Stephen A. Who's a better quarterback, Tom Brady or Peyton Manning?
Wow. I think Peyton Manning's a better regular season quarterback and Tom Brady's better postseason. That's the greatest answer that I can give you.
See, I personally believe that Peyton Manning revolutionized the game with his signal calls at the line of scrimmage.
He did. But at the end of the day, when it really, really counted in the postseason, there's a lot to be desired. Got to bounce. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Coming up in hour number 2. I'm going to talk about these new NFL rules. I'm definitely going to talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame. I'm definitely going to get into Urban Meyer as well. Stick around. Hour number 2 with Stephen A. up next.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Come to hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show here with you over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN Radio on Sirius XM, Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Before I get back to the phones, because I started off the show talking about the Yankees, talking about the Dodgers, talking about the Astros, talking about the Red Sox. Those are the top 4 teams in Major League Baseball as far as I'm concerned. I ain't even paying attention to too much of anything else. Don't get me started. Don't even want to pay attention to the Mets. Couple of things I want to point to. Of course, T.O. made news today Arrived in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Hall of Fame wide receiver expressed no regret about his decision to skip this weekend's induction ceremonies in Canton, Ohio. He says, I understand why I've made my decision. This is what he said Friday before treating 32 boys from the Boys to Men youth program to a shopping spree. He said, I don't expect everyone to agree with me, but again, obviously the criteria and the system put in place for the Hall of Fame in order for guys like myself to be inducted, there are guidelines that the writers, the sports writers, are supposed to adhere to. This is not being inducted the first or second ballot, but it's about the process in which guys are nominated and ultimately inducted. There is a flaw in that system. So this is not only about me, it's about the guys that went before me that's going to come after me. And I can make a stand for those guys so they won't have to go through this situation. Interesting. There is a flaw in the system. And you'll rarely hear me say this, but I believe it was Gary Myers, outstanding NFL reporter for the New York Daily News. A person that I've known for years, not that well, but he is obviously a contemporary, somebody I have the highest respect for that does an outstanding job, covering the NFL, but I respectfully disagreed with the position that he took weeks ago. He said that if he knew that Terrell Owens, correct me if I'm wrong, Nuno, if he knew that Terrell Owens was going to take this position, he would not have voted for him. I respectfully conclude that Gary Myers is dead wrong on that. The fact remains that Terrell Owens is one of the greatest receivers in the history of football. With 1,078 receptions and 153 touchdowns, he's top 3 of all time in 2 of the most important categories for a wide receiver. And easily finishes in the top 10 in throughout NFL history in most statistical categories for a wide receiver. There is no way on earth that T.O., based on his on-field production, should not have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. And then the thing that can't be ignored and the thing that one has to consider, let's keep this in mind because it's very, very important. When T.O. brings up the criteria, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, let me preface my comments by saying I'm not saying he should not have shown up in Canton, Ohio. I think he should be there. I think he should be there celebrating with the other Hall of Famers. But let's not act like he's talking out of his backside, like he don't know what the hell he's talking about, like he's making no sense. That's false. Terrell Owens, with what he said and what he's brought up, we cannot deny the truth of what he's saying. There is a flaw in the system. And you know what that flaw is? That flaw is judging someone on something other than their on-field exploits. See, we speculate and people guess and people deduce based on the conversations they've had with other people what T.O. is. You can't go by that when it comes to judging someone in the Hall of Fame. You want me to tell you why you can't do that, ladies and gentlemen? Because as much of a headache as T.O. may have been, why the hell was he in the NFL for over 15 years? Why the hell did he last long enough to catch 1,078 passes? To accumulate over 15,000 receiving yards and 153 touchdowns? Why was he in position for that to happen? You know why? Because he was that damn great. And if he was that great, you got no business keeping him out because people didn't like him. Bill Polian has forgotten more football than I'll ever know. He's a great football man, a great football mind. And his accomplishments are pretty close to impeccable. When I walk through the hallways of ESPN, it's an honor for me to learn from him. When he's willing to school me about something about football. School's in session, baby, and I'm the student. Make no mistake about it. He's the teacher. But I respectfully disagree with him when he said he wouldn't have voted T.O. in. Now, if he were a GM under a team or for a team that T.O. was on, that's a different ballgame. Because he's saying, oh, no, I was there. This is what I saw. That's different. But even though he obviously has inside information and obviously knows more than we ever will know, it's still not the same as dealing with the man directly. And remember, to deny him on the first ballot and on the second ballot, inclusion or induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you are saying, forget the 1,078 yards, or receptions rather. The 15,000 plus yards, the 153 touchdowns. Forget that for him. Oh, but we're not going to forget it with Randy Moss. Really? Randy Moss is a first ballot Hall of Famer. My colleague here at ESPN, very proud of him. He deserves it. I'd have voted him as a first ballot Hall of Famer as well. But if we're going to use the criteria to keep T.O. out, how do we justify doing that for Randy Moss, who literally admitted he played when he wanted to? T.O. played hard all the time. There were times in Oakland, Randy Moss admitted he took off because he was frustrated. Played hard in New England. Played hard in Minnesota. Wasn't the case in Oakland. What about that? See, that kind of up and down, moody kind of stuff has no place in voting when it comes to the Hall of Fame. Your level of production matters. For example, there are people who would say Chris Webber's a Hall of Famer in the NBA. Look at his numbers. I would say to you, he's damn sure a Hall of Famer if we talking Fab Five. But if we talking NBA career, yeah, the numbers might be there. You know what I remember? You ready for this, Nuno and Cat? I remember how the basketball was a hot potato for him when they were in the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers, and he couldn't give that ball up to Mike Bibby soon enough. That's what I remember. Reggie Miller never went to an NBA Finals, but that brother always wanted the ball. That's not what I saw with Chris Webber. It's not what I saw. Numbers-wise, sure he deserves it. Skill-wise, sure he deserves it. What he accomplished in college, sure he deserves it. But I saw too many moments when the franchise face, the star of the team, on the NBA level, not college basketball, but on the NBA level, wanted no parts of that basketball. And thank God he had Mike Bibby and Peja Stojakovic, and to a lesser degree, Vlade Divac. I remember with the Doug Christies of the world. I remember. So those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. It's got to be about production. It can't be about emotion. And that's why I support T.O. in that. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. The other thing I want to touch on real quick before the calls is this new NFL rule where you're getting penalized 15-yard penalty for leading with your helmet. I got no problem with it if you're talking about avoiding launching your head and being like a missile. But I saw the penalty called last night by officials where guys extending their arm and trying to lead into it with their shoulder, but it ended up their head, their head ended up touching the body first or something. You know what the problem with that is? Do y'all know that the hit that Anthony Barr put on my man Aaron Rodgers last year, do you know that would be a penalty? That is utterly ridiculous. There is nothing illegal or delegitimate about that hit. That is preposterous. Absolutely no place for it. And I'm here to tell you, here's the biggest reason why y'all should hate this rule. It's going to delay the game more. It's going to delay the game more. As if we don't have enough time spent with the game being delayed because of all of these damn penalties. I understand you're trying to make the game safer, but damn it, there's a risk that comes with it. You're either playing it or you're not. I think the NFL's got this wrong. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. To the phones we go. Trey, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's going on with you, Stephen A?
I'm good.
Big
Talk
time.
to me. Thank you.
This is a big-time fan, man. I love you. Just got to touch on what you were just talking about with launching and targeting. My issue with that is I just feel like it's just an easy cop-out for the NFL because of, the lawsuits from the concussions and everything like that. Because me personally, I grew up playing football. You know what you sign up for when you go play and everything like that. I just don't, I feel like they're doing right as far as trying to make contact with the helmet, but let them be men. It's going to turn into touch football in about 2 to 3 years.
Hopefully it won't come to that, bro. Hopefully it won't come to that. I'm praying it won't, but we shall see. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you. Bill, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, good afternoon, Stephen. Thanks for taking my call.
I'm
a little confused here because you're saying that T.O. should solely be in the Hall of Fame solely based on his stats, not on anything that happened off the field.
Well, let me stop. What happened off the field?
I'm trying to make a point. I'm just saying his numbers clearly say he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I'm saying, here's what I'm saying. I'm saying you can't ignore what he did on the field because of what you perceive his personality to be. That's not right, Bill. That's what I'm saying.
I'd like to read you a few stats, if I may, Stephen.
Okay, real quick. Go ahead.
Eli Manning has as many postseason wins, 8, as Steve Young, who's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Eli Manning, 106 completions in the 2011 postseason are the most in NFL history. His 5-game
Stop right there. I'm going to stop you right there. Here's why those stats don't mean anything to me. I understand your argument. They should mean something. If I'm saying they should mean something for T.O., they should mean something for Eli Manning. I didn't make a case against Eli Manning that was devoid of facts or stats. I pointed out, man, you ain't been in the playoffs 5 times in the last 6 years, 7 times in the last 9 years. That matters. You won 2 Super Bowls, so that's automatically 6 playoff wins. But you've been in the league for 14, 15 years.
How many quarterbacks never make the playoffs, Stephen?
Wait a minute. I'm not making a case for them for the Hall of Fame. We're talking about Eli Manning. And I'm saying to you that Eli Manning, based on his level of production, come on now, when you look at Hall of Famers, Bill, Hall of Famers, come on, Bill. He missed the playoffs 7 times in the last 9 years.
Who's the greatest quarterback in NFL history? Probably Tom Brady?
The greatest quarterback in NFL history? It's open for debate. I mean, you got Tom Brady, you got Peyton Manning there. I think John Elway doesn't get nearly enough credit. I think John Elway deserves more credit than he gets. I'm going to tell you right now. Listen, and it ain't all just about. It's also about that eye test too. Now, Eli Manning leading the league in interceptions 3 times in his career. I got news for you. Aaron Rodgers only has 1 Super Bowl title on his resume. 1, and he, in my eyes, is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen.
How many times did Tom Brady beat Eli Manning in a Super Bowl?
So what? He passed for 230 yards one time, 296 the other. Listen, Tom Brady just lost the Super Bowl and passed for 500 yards and put up 33 points. And came back from a 15-3 deficit in order to do it. The year before that, he was down 28-3 and came back, won the damn Super Bowl against Atlanta, albeit because Atlanta forgot to run the damn football, okay? But what I'm saying to you is Eli Manning scored 17 points in one Super Bowl, 21 in another, 17-14 win, 21-17 in another. Of course he played decently. Of course he deserves credit. But when you talk about great performances, where was it? Where was it?
Offense wins games, defense wins championships.
All right. Goodbye. Have a nice day. You made your argument. I understand. You're trying to make the point, but you ain't going to change it up. You understand? I gave you an opportunity to stick to your point you passed. I want to hear that nonsense. Eric, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
What's up, Stephen A?
I'm good.
The reason why T.O. was not popular is because T.O. was social media before social media was even around or hip.
Okay.
He was the master of marketing himself.
Okay.
And I think because he was able to do that and do it so effectively, people were jealous, and I think that's how they took it out on him.
Well, see, that's debatable. To me, here's what's not debatable. What's not debatable is that evidently his personality wasn't so awful that you kept him out of the NFL. You got teams that used him. The man's got receptions, reception yards, and TDs, top 5 all time. If he was so awful as a teammate, why did everybody keep bringing him on?
Well, the problem with the Hall of Fame voting is his teammates didn't get to vote him in.
Well, again, that is definitely true. But the point is, that's why I think T.O.'s wrong for not showing up in Canton, Ohio. Because the people that didn't vote for him are not the ones who are going to be there celebrating him.
I think he's letting him get the last word by staying away.
I agree. I totally agree. That's exactly. You know what? You put it even better than me, which is rare. Okay?
Thanks,
that's exactly what I should have said. That's exactly my feeling. He's giving them the last word. T.O., San Francisco, Philadelphia, Dallas, then Buffalo and Cincinnati. Okay? What are we talking about here? 15 years in the NFL, 1,078 receptions, 15,934 yards, 153 touchdowns, a career 14.8 yards per catch average. We're talking about statistics that span top 5 all time. And what you got is personality. You know how subjective that is? Some people can't stand me. Some people love the ground I walk on. And what should that have to do with my level of production in my chosen field? Do I deliver or do I not?
You deliver, and that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. It's all that should matter. Appreciate it, Eric. Thank you so much. Joe, you're live at Stephen A. Go ahead, buddy.
Yes, sir. Stephen A., I'm a big-time fan, first-time caller. But I have to tell you, I think you are wrong about Eli Manning.
Sure, I'm listening.
I'll give you an example of a quarterback I believe is inferior to him, and that would be Terry Bradshaw. Okay. If you look at his career...
Go ahead.
Look at Terry Bradshaw's career. He only had 2 more touchdowns than interceptions for his entire career.
Stop right there. I don't have enough time in a 2-hour show to tell you how many changes have taken place in the National Football League since the days of Terry Bradshaw to the days of Eli Manning. You got to be kidding me. You can't hold nothing against Terry Bradshaw at that time. Yes, he had Lynn Swann and John Stallworth. Did you know back then they were giving the ball to run to fullbacks as well? Did you know that?
Yes, sir.
Did you know that Rocky Blyer ran the ball sometimes?
But
Franco Harris, was Franco Harris not a Hall of Famer? So he had a Hall of Fame running back and 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers. And oh, by the way, what were they known for? Defense was even more prevalent back then. You had Jack Ham, Jack Lambert, Mel Blount, L.C. Greenwood, Mean Joe Green. The list goes on and on. Come on, bro. And you're going to give me numbers to talk about Bradshaw, who, by the way, was a 4-time Super Bowl champion, beat the Dallas Cowboys twice. Are you kidding me?
Bradshaw's best year, he threw 28 touchdowns with 20 interceptions. Are
you not listening to me? I don't want to hear about numbers because of the errors. That's my point. Don't give me numbers for somebody that played 30 years before Eli Manning. What drug are you smoking?
No, I'm saying Eli Manning
So based on your synopsis, I should be able to compare Johnny Unitas to John Elway.
Based on the teams that they were on, I'm saying that Eli never had a team as good as those Steelers.
Excuse me. And what I'm saying to you is that's fine because clearly, offensively, he did not have the weapons that Bradshaw had available to him. But the game was played differently then. Let me tell you something right now. Eli Manning would not have gone 13 years without missing a game playing in the 70s. How about that one? They'd have murdered him. They would have murdered him. I mean, with the way you could get away with doing stuff to dudes back then, and Terry Bradshaw, in the roughest of times, won 4 Super Bowl titles. What drug are you sniffing?
This is no disrespect to Terry Bradshaw.
Well, it sounds like it, damn it.
No. All I am saying is that Eli Manning has proven to do more with less.
Excuse me. And what I'm saying to you is that you have an argument if I'm calling him a scrub who doesn't belong in the NFL. I am not saying that about Eli Manning. I recognize that he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. I recognize the fact that he was an Iron Man. I recognize the name, the pedigree. I also recognize he led the league in interceptions 3 times. I also recognize the fact that he's missed the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years and 7 of the last 9 years. And when I think about the elite quarterbacks, since the day Eli Manning stepped into the league, with the exception of the 1 year where he threw for 4,933 yards in 2011, tell me 1 year, other than that year, when Eli Manning was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. One.
He's never been a top 5 quarterback.
Goodbye. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. Ladies and gentlemen, there's levels to this. My name is Stephen A. for a reason, baby. Who y'all think y'all talking to? Come on.
Craving even more of Stephen A?
Him of all people.
For around-the-clock access to the man?
I'm Stephen A.
You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Stephen A. Smith and on Facebook at Stephen A.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm as happy as a clam.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will be, quote, as happy as a clam, unquote. The Geico legal team cannot accurately verify clams even experience the complex human emotional state known as happiness. As an invertebrate mollusk living half submerged on the ocean floor, with no arms, legs, or wireless access, what's there to be happy about? A clam's all like, oh, I'm so happy I didn't get turned into New England clam chowder today. Pronounced regionally as chowder. Chowder. Oh, that's so fun to say. What were we talking about again?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I know there's some stuff going on out there. Odell Beckham Jr.'s agent met with the Giants and there's a negotiation, whatever the case may be. Look, this is not complicated. All of these restrictions and everything that everybody wants to sit up there and say get in the way of the money, it's very, very simple. Put the money in there with the restrictions. Look. You have to protect the brand that is the New York Giants. You compromise the brand, we compromise your dollars. Very simple. Other than that, give him the money he deserves. Odell Beckham Jr. is the top receiver in the game of football. Give him the money. This is not Julio Jones, who had 2 years left on his deal and was trying to hold out. Okay? Even though I think Julio deserved what he got, which is some extra money up front, because that's what it's all about. That's just me. Zay, you're live with Stephen A. What's up? Zay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
All right, man. Let's go. You live on the air, bro. We got to hear you, man. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I just had a quick statement and a question. My first statement was about the Yankees. I do agree that the ship has sailed with them winning the division in the AL East, but I do believe there's some optimism for the playoffs.
Yes.
Seeing as they are kind of battle-tested from last year.
Well, you know what I don't like about the playoffs? One game. That's my problem. I wouldn't be worried about the Yankees at all if we're talking best 4 or 7. My problem with the postseason is one game. Look, man, you can have a pitch. I mean, somebody might have gas. Somebody might have a stomachache or something. That's right, I said it. I know it ain't popular to say, but I got to bring it home. As my man Joe Madison likes to say, it's fun to say, you got to put it where the goats can get it. Yes, it ain't all. I mean, when it comes down to one game, anything can happen. That's what scares the living hell out of me about a Super Bowl. You eat the wrong food, you can end up having diarrhea. You have a toothache. Scottie Pippen, migraine headache in a game 7 of a conference finals. I mean, anything can happen with one game. That's my problem. That's what I worry about with the Yankees. Yankees ain't 15-7 worse than the Boston Red Sox after being spotted 4 runs. But they looked that way last night, didn't they?
It sure did.
That's what worries me. One game. One.
I hear you. I think they'll be good in the wild card. But getting on to my question, going back to the Eli Manning conversation, I just have a question for you. What's the difference between Eli Manning and Kurt Warner other than the elevated completion rating?
Kurt Warner was a league MVP. Kurt Warner was the orchestrator of the greatest show on turf at one point in time in his career. Remember how high-powered that St. Louis Rams offense was him and Marshall Faulk and Isaac Bruce and the crew?
I mean, but no championship.
Excuse me. They did win a Super Bowl in St. Louis. Bye. You're automatically disqualified from this discussion. Goodbye. Have a nice day. He lost the Super Bowl in Arizona to the Steelers. They won it in St. Louis. Thank you very much. They lost to New England, but they beat the Tennessee Titans. Remember that. Matter of fact, I don't even know if he was still there when they lost to New England. I know Jake Delhomme and they lost to New England, Carolina. That's a different story for another day. Anyway, let's go to Sean. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Sean.
Hey, Stephen A. First off, you know what I'm saying, long-time podcast listener. Ever since you came on the radio to ESPN, I'm picking you up right here in West Virginia.
I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. First off, to save other people from bothering you about the Eli Manning, he's Joe Flacco, not Kurt Warner, not Terry Bradshaw. If you want to compare him to somebody, compare him to Joe Flacco. But that's not my question. My question is about Terrell Owens and the whole controversy about him not being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Are they not going to make Bill Belichick a first ballot Hall of Famer? Because he's been in the media.
Hold on. Wait, I see. So you're talking about comparing T.O. to somebody like a Bill Belichick.
Yeah, a legend. Terrell Owens a legend. Bill Belichick's a legend. But
yeah, but that's still. I get your point, but I still think you reach it because coaches are judged differently. Come on, man. Give me a player, not a coach. The coach isn't out there on the field. It's the player. Yeah. So a coach, there's such a myriad of responsibilities that they have on their shoulders that you always are going to look for a reason to give a coach credit. There's no denying that Bill Belichick is the first ballot Hall of Famer. You know what my mentality is about Bill Belichick? Everybody wants to bring up Spygate. Nobody more so than my man Carlton in Tampa. Okay? But here's my whole point. Now, how come nobody figured it out? Because the man keeps winning. He keeps winning. And Spygate was back in 2007. The man keeps winning. What you going to do about it?
I guess deflate some football.
Yeah, well, I guess so. Take it easy. Tommy, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Stephen A., I got a quick question for you about Dez Bryant.
Yes, sir.
I would like to know why the heck, I'm a Redskins fan, and why the heck he hasn't became a Redskin if he wants so bad to get back at the NFC for the Cowboys.
Well, I think, first of all, we don't know whether or not the Redskins want him. We've heard the Baltimore Ravens are interested. We've heard the Cleveland Browns are interested. Antonio Brown for the Pittsburgh Steelers came out and said the Steelers should be interested. We haven't heard anything about the Redskins. And secondly, the pedestrian himself, Mr. Alex Smith, that's more protective of his numbers and not taking risk and making turnovers rather than making things happen, might not be the ideal landing spot for Dez Bryant.
Gotcha. Another quick question about the NFL rule getting changed up a little bit about the hitting rule. I heard reports about some of the Eagles players a little concerned about being able to slow the game down to be able to make a proper legal hit. Do you think that would be a concern as the season?
I think that's going to be a concern for everybody. I think that's going to be a concern for everybody. I think that's what the NFL is hoping for because that will cut down on the violence. They're not thinking about what's going to compromise the game because when ratings, despite all the distractions last year, when revenue rather goes up 4.9%, and you combine that with the fact that each owner collected $255 million check, their priority is in continuing to make money and making sure y'all continue watching. And as long as y'all continue watching, then it doesn't matter. You understand? That's just the way it goes.
Understood. Thank you very much for the call, Stephen.
Take it easy, man. Thank you so much. Demi, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
One quick question about a quarterback comparable to Eli before I get to Eli. Do you consider Ben Roethlisberger a Hall of Fame quarterback?
Ben Roethlisberger?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. In the first Super Bowl he played in, he was 9 for 21.
Awful. He was awful.
He was 9 for 21 with 120 yards.
He was awful.
2 interceptions.
He was awful. Awful.
So he has no Super Bowl MVPs. Granted, he plays well every year and puts up stats, but he also has a great team and a great franchise backing him. Not to say that the Giants aren't a great franchise because they are, but Jerry Reese has done a horrible job with that whole team, so much so that a couple of years ago they spent $250 million.
No, Themi, you're not getting away with it. Here's the problem. The reality of the situation is you said a couple of things. Number one, Big Ben Roethlisberger has put up good numbers. Number two, he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He's been to 3 Super Bowls, more than Eli Manning, by the way. And number three, there's not an APB out for Big Ben Roethlisberger come postseason time. The Steelers have actually been in the playoffs the last 4 years. All right. And 6 of the last 8 years.
The front office has been doing a better job than my Giants have. Now let me get to Eli. Let me get to Eli and say why I think he is a Hall of Famer. Something that no one has mentioned today. That San Francisco 49ers game, NFC Championship, they damn near killed him. And he kept getting up.
Hold on, stop it right there. Demi, nobody's saying Eli's a scrub. Nobody's saying that you can't come up with some great moments. But the reality of the situation is he has missed the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years and 7 of the last 9. You cannot ignore that. You cannot ignore that when it is count, he hasn't been there because they haven't gone to the playoffs. You look at an Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay falls off the map when he's not around. Off the map. When Big Ben Roethlisberger has gotten hurt, the Steelers can't do anything. They can't tie their shoes right. Hell, when Tony Romo went down, the Cowboys looked better than certain situations. The bottom line is that nobody's accusing Eli Manning of such a thing. The Giants haven't looked great with him. Now, that's not his fault. But the bottom line is when all is said and done, you can't call him a Hall of Famer. Got him run. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. More of your calls to close out the show in a minute. Stephen A. ESPN Radio. By the way, surprise a friend or loved one today with a bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. When you order a dozen multicolored roses for only $29.99, you'll get another dozen absolutely free. So go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. By the way, we're on in L.A. Notice no one calls me about Phillip Rivers. Nobody calls about Phillip Rivers. Nobody. 1 playoff appearance in the last 8 years. I don't even know why the hell the Chargers in L.A. I mean, first of all, you weren't relevant to begin with. You could have filled 25,000 seats at the StubHub Center. What the hell are you going to do now that the Rams are relevant? People going to save their time to go watch the Rams. Ain't nobody trying to drive from San Diego to watch these Chargers. Go back to San Diego. Go back to San Diego. That's just my opinion. Your calls in a minute with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! 888-SAY-ESPN. 888-729-3776. Can't wait to watch the Hall of Fame. Looking forward to Ray Lewis's Hall of Fame speech. Randy Moss, obviously. Brian Urlacher and those guys, and Brian Dawkins, of course. You know, much love to them. T.O. Terrell Owens will give his speech at Tennessee Chattanooga in front of supportive fans who've always shown him love and what have you. I wonder whether or not that's going to be aired, and if so, where, because it clearly ain't going to be on the NFL Network or something like that. So it's going to be real interesting to see. We shall see. Let's go to Kevin. You're live, Stephen A. What's up?
Yeah, Steve, how you doing?
I'm all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, my take on T.O. not being there for his speech, I think what he should have done was been a better man and gone and done his speech and shown the people that didn't vote for him. It's like, dude, I'm here. I made it. Sorry you didn't vote for me.
Gotcha.
Plain.
That's a decent opinion. I can respect where you're coming from. Thanks a lot. Let's go to Joe. I knew I'd hear from you. Go ahead, buddy. You're live on air.
Hey, man. Sorry about yesterday hanging up. Money was calling, but
hey, listen. Wait a minute. Never apologize when the money was calling. You got to take that call. It's all right.
Absolutely. So the reason why I think Eli is a Hall of Fame quarterback is if you look at all the quarterbacks that have gone to multiple Super Bowls, every one of them but 3 are in the Hall of Fame, and those 3 lost both of those Super Bowls.
Okay.
So, I mean, listen, you can look that up. And
Joe, I am going to look it up. I am going to look it up. I got to interrupt you because I'm running out of time, but I need a promise from you. Are you ready for this promise?
Go for it.
I need you to watch Eli this year. You got Saquon Barkley. You got Sterling Shepard. You got Odell Beckham Jr. back. You got Evan Ingram. I don't want to hear no excuses. Call back.
I agree with that.
Call back. Let's talk about this Monday. Appreciate it. Matt, you're live with Stephen A. You got 30 seconds. Go.
Well, only 30 seconds. All right, Steve. Big fan of the show. Quickly, about Eli. You're going to talk about him not being a Hall of Famer. I just don't see how you come up with that. When you put the whole package together, granted, he has a lot of interceptions. He hasn't made the playoffs, but Drew Brees is a great quarterback. He hasn't, up until last year, before that, he hasn't made the playoffs in a couple seasons, and he still looked at as great. And he's top 10 all-time on yards, touchdowns, and completions. He has 2 rings.
Okay.
He ran through some of the best. Hold on. Let me finish my 30 seconds.
No.
He ran through
you
some
did
of the
finish
best
30 seconds. But go ahead. I'm just saying you did finish your 30 seconds, and it's a strong argument. It's a strong argument. It's enough to make me go back and look at the numbers because I know Drew Brees has superior numbers. But I'm going to go back and look at that because I don't necessarily. You might have a point, Matt. Let's revisit this Monday. Enjoy the weekend, y'all. Peace and love.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.